We're going to kick off this edition with Mayor Gary Jones. He's the mayor of Grovetown, Georgia, a post that he has held since January of 2016, and he was the police chief before that, so he's no stranger to so many of you out there. Mayor, thank you for being with me.
Thank you, and thank you all for tuning in and watching.
Absolutely. I know that people are grateful to see and hear from you. You're always available to the media, which is helpful to us. And I told you on the way in here, I think most of my questions are questions that you've already answered on TV anyway, because you are accessible. I just want to ask you a general one at first, and that is, how is it being the mayor? It seems like it's just, you hit the ground running and it's never stopped, has it?
Well, being a police chief and a law enforcement officer for 32 years has certainly prepared me for what I walked into. Now, being a polished and seasoned politician, and that's a different realm. And that's not something that I even aspire to be. I want to operate off of compassion and common sense and doing what's right.
Well, it's resonating with the people of Grovetown, I would say, because you won with more than 60% of the vote. So
it was 69%.
69% of the vote. They like what they're seeing, right?
Yes, sir.
What in the world are you doing with people's water bills? Just in recent days, we have seen some issues involving the water bills in Grovetown, and most recently, cutting a lot of people's service off. What's happening?
Well, just to kind of preface it a little bit, actually, we have a class action lawsuit that was filed and that has been settled, which stems from water being raised at a higher rate than what it should have been to compensate for some theft that apparently was transpiring.
Right. Now, I do want to ask you about that, but just this most recent cutoff action, why is it happening?
Well, you know, it seems that so many people were allowed over years to come in and make payments, and they continued to leave a balance that was carrying over. And that's quite a substantial amount of money. And as we began to look at that, it got to where we were looking at over 600 accounts that were delinquent. And I didn't want to begin cutting water off without certainly advertising and giving people notice. So for a 30 to 45 day period, we used the media outlets, we used social media, we used the signage in front of City Hall, we used the clerks that work in City Hall to inform people as they come in to pay their bills that, look, this is coming. You need to zero your balance out, and cutoffs will be on such and such time. And we reached that point as of yesterday. Yeah,
and as of the recording of this broadcast, you've cut off 400 people's water, and you will have cut off more than 400 people's water. You're going to take a break for the weekend and then start cutting more off on Monday. Have you heard from the customers yet who are on the bad end of this deal?
I've heard from a few. I actually spent time yesterday there at City Hall seeing some of the irate customers and taking the time to walk outside with them to explain the process, why we were at the point that we're at. Most understood. There were some that were still upset. And I'm just going to have to take the heat for that, because this is something that has to be done. When you allow the certain citizens to continue to get into the hole, so to speak, with a carryover balance, you're not doing them any justice at all if you continue to do that, because they'll never get that paid off. And they continue to be penalized and so forth. So we have got to get to a point where we can get it zeroed out. And I would say within 3 months that we'll see a total turnaround on our water bills.
And bottom line, they can't get it turned back on unless they pay their bill.
Well, they can pay a reconnect fee, pay their bill, outstanding balance, $25 reconnect fee. We held people over yesterday and held City Hall open to 6 o'clock to allow people in time to get home and to take care of that, and we got them cut back on.
Well, the city of Grovetown certainly going on the offensive now, if you will, when it comes to enforcing the rules of the water system, and especially when it comes to paying your bill. Y'all were on the defensive not too long ago when a lot of people came at you and said you were charging them too much for water. Their bills were far too high. They sued you for $4 million plus. You settled for $1.5 million, but your water problems haven't gone away. I guess my question is, do you think that some of those people thought, well, you've been overbilling me for so long, I'm not going to pay my bill for a while?
You know, the combination of computer programming, failure to use the computer system that we have properly, untrained personnel, internal theft, etc., have all attributed to this problem. And we have now got what I feel like a good grasp on that. So we should see a level plane here before long.
Has anybody used that as an excuse, though, to say, I thought it was time for me to stop paying since you were doing me wrong for so long?
Well, I've had a few. We've had some of the people come in and tell the clerks, they're at the window, y'all are stealing my money. Why should I pay you?
Yeah.
I can understand the citizens' frustration, but they need to be patient and allow me an opportunity to get it straight, because I ran on that promise, and I am going to live up to it. I'm going to get it straight.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You campaigned on wanting a forensic audit of the city of Grovetown's finances, and you also campaigned, which we'll talk about in a minute, on improving traffic and preparing for traffic in Grovetown. Other than those 600 or so folks that didn't pay their bill, are the citizens of Grovetown applauding what you're doing so far?
Yes, I get feedback, positive feedback on the Facebook page that I have many followers of. So that and meeting people in the in the street, at stores and things of that nature, I get a lot of compliments. I can't please everybody. That's one of the hardest things that I've had to accept once I became a police chief and moving on to this role, because human nature, at least for me it does, I want to please everyone and do what's right for everyone. But it doesn't work that way, because somebody will be dissatisfied.
I know you can't say a whole lot about this, but can you update us in any way on the U.S. Treasury Department and the FBI's investigation of your finances, of the water system, and the way that the city, I guess more the investigation is focused on the way the city collects and deposits its fines. What are the feds doing right now? What can you tell us?
The only thing that I can even speak on is ongoing. They are still collecting evidence as we speak. In other words, it continues to grow and broaden. How far this thing's going to go, I don't know. How far back it's going to go, I don't know. Who all is going to involve, I don't know.
Yeah.
Currently, the only thing that I can say is that there's one suspect that I'm aware of. Obviously, because of disclosure rules, the federal agents haven't discussed that with me, and I wouldn't expect them to, nor want them to.
I'm sorry.
This is their investigation, and I trust them wholeheartedly to see it through.
Your clerk is gone. Your water billing supervisor no longer has a job. And are you saying there could be more house cleaning?
Oh yes, there will probably be more house cleaning. Our city attorney is also gone. We've hired a new city attorney. The city attorney that was there and had been there for 18 to 20 years was part of the old regime, and that was operating under the same premise of good old boy system. So it was time for a change, a more professional, aggressive attorney.
Does the city council like you?
Half of them do. I can't speak for the other half,
Yeah.
but I would feel comfortable in saying that they probably wouldn't invite me to Christmas dinner.
Don't they recognize, though, that if a man gets 70% of the vote, that the citizens are trying to say something, they should probably play ball with you, or you just don't see that happening? You're like the Donald Trump of Grovetown.
Well, I would hope they see that, and I have tried to mend those relationships, and I don't. I have proven, I've been there 14 months, and I have proven that I did not run for this office and get elected for revenge or any type of vengeance whatsoever, as people thought, simply because I was dismissed as the police chief. And I have proven that that's not the case. I haven't held anything against anyone. I have allowed people an opportunity to do their jobs. Those that couldn't do it, we've put them on work performance plans, and if they weren't able to perform, then they were released.
Are you and Dennis Trudeau getting along? Are you speaking?
Well, we speak at meetings and functions, but other than that, no.
How's police protection doing? That's another thing that you're big on, obviously, because of your law enforcement background. What can you say to the citizens of Grovetown and Columbia County about the level of police protection there?
Well, I can say confidently that you are protected well with the City of Grovetown police officers. We also have a good backup strength force from Columbia County Sheriff's Office. We also have the City of Harlem we could call upon. We have Richmond County we could call upon. We have McDuffie County we could call upon. So the mutual aid is everywhere that we can call upon. I would like to see more officers on the shifts at a later time. Based on the calls for service right now, we're okay. but based on the population, we need more people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if the calls have caught up with the population boom yet. A lot of people are moving to Grovetown. Crime, one would think, would go up.
Surprisingly, they have stayed kind of steady. And I attribute that a lot to not just the police and not just the elected officials, but the citizens themselves, the business owners, because they care enough when they see something suspicious, whether they think it's a crime or not, they take the initiative to call so that they can be investigated. And most of the time, there's nothing to it.
Whether it's building a roundabout at the gateway, whether it is improving Robinson Drive right there through the heart of town, it seems like something is always going on. New traffic light on Lewiston. Something's always going on to help out with traffic. How do you feel about those efforts right now? Because that's going to get worse if you're not ready.
It's an awful problem during peak times now.
Yeah.
Our construction had stalled somewhat for the past 3 or 4 months due to utility work and location. That has finally caught up, and they are fixing to begin construction, and we're hoping that they will complete by their time frame of November.
Okay, good.
On both Wrightsboro Road and on Robinson Avenue.
What kind of time frame can you give us, if any, on when we will notice this, when we'll drive through Grovetown at those peak hours and say, hey, this is nice now?
I think within the next 30 days you will begin to see some work happening. It'll be noticeable. It won't just be orange barrels and piles of dirt.
That's good. That's good news. I know a lot of people are excited about that, especially, like you said, for that morning and afternoon commute. Columbia County is using a lot of its general obligation bond money to improve parks and green space throughout that county, and Grovetown's going to benefit a lot from that. I wanted to get you to talk about how parks are looking in the future.
Well, parks are certainly looking fine, but we are getting money from that bond to build a library in the city of Grovetown.
That's amazing.
It's been obligated to us, and we are currently in the process of looking for some land to put it on. Obviously, the city has to own the land, and then we deed the land over to their property, and they build the library. So we're hoping to build something as nice as what Harlem has built now.
Well, I'm sure it'll be first class, and there is the money to back it if you can find the land. Speaking of land, Augusta University just bought a ton of it, and they're going to put a hospital there. Tell me how the city is responding to that, and what sort of preparations y'all are making for the improved medical community.
Well, we have several developments that is transpiring right now. One in particular, which is now in the city out by the Augusta Tech branch. And there's going to be some residential homes going in there. There's going to be some townhomes, apartments, and also an industrial park and some office areas. So I think that that's going to help the medical community there, as well as some of the cyber stuff needing office space.
Is that part of your plan, Mayor, to replace the mobile homes with townhomes, to give Grovetown that better residential look?
Well, not to take credit for that, I will give credit to the former mayor and administration. They started that process of getting the mobile homes. And don't take it wrong, I don't have anything against mobile homes. It's just that in the inner part of the city, we need to revisit that and look at some areas of improvement. So we have a $7.5 million project underway near completion now, right there at Catherine Street over the railroad tracks where it used to be a mobile home park.
What about the input of citizens? You talked about your social media presence, and it's true, a lot of people interact with you and the city of Grovetown via Facebook and other social media. Now you're calling on those citizens to help clean up your town. Tell me about that effort and what kind of response you've gotten from folks who might come out and pick up trash.
Well, I've got to go back and compile the list, but it's probably 40 or 50 people that say, hey, I'm interested, I'm in. And it was just a brainstorm I had. You know, we have city workers, obviously, but, you know, they're stretched to the limit in most times. And I think that by getting people out there and allowing them to maybe bring children as well to get involved and help cleaning up, planting flowers and things like that, to turn it into kind of a family-oriented event to make people feel like they're part of the city, I think it'd do nothing but improve everything.
I've got time for one quick question, maybe 40 seconds or so, and it's just to get you to tell me what you envision for the future of Grovetown a few years down the road. How do you see your city? Because it's changing every day.
Well, I see traffic flow better. I see more businesses. I see restaurants where people can really sit down and enjoy a fine dinner. And most importantly, I see honest government.
Well, we thank you for fighting that fight. And if you're getting along with half your council, and that's like Augusta, you know, you're matching what they're doing right now. It's about as good as you can ask for in politics. But you're standing your ground, and we appreciate you, and especially appreciate you talking to us as much as you do.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I watch your report. I keep up with you on the news. Matter of fact, you're I would say my favorite reporter and broadcaster, but I don't want to upset some of the other ones.
No, I hear you. And just to even be mentioned, thank you, Mayor Jones. I appreciate it. But yeah, we'll have you back again real soon. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mayor Gary Jones, City of Grovetown, Georgia, a great place to go, great place to live. It is on the move for sure.